Watching Stranger Things Season 3, it got me kind of actually interested to watch Day of the Dead again. I haven't watched it in a really long time. I remember the first time I watched it, I think it was around like 2003, 2004. It was like my senior year of high school. And I remember watching it and actually being quite blown away. It was actually my favorite for a while because I was like, it examines like the zombies a lot more. It's a lot slower, but it's the most intellectual. As time went by, I, rewatched Dawn of the Dead, the original 1978 version, and I started saying to myself, well, you know what? No, what was I thinking? Day of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead is my favorite because it's the most fun, and it is the most fun. However, the thing with Day of the Dead, and this can be attributed to actually many film trilogies. For example, the Alien trilogy, if you discount Alien Resurrection, which of course I love to. Alien 3 was really dark and a lot of people didn't like it. The Dark Knight Rises, most people's favorite is The Dark Knight. Mine too. It is the most fun. It's got Heath Ledger as the Joker and his performance alone is worth it. But then you get The Dark Knight Rises, which again, it's a very dark movie. It ends on a very dark note, as does the new Planet of the Apes trilogy. War for the Planet of the Apes is super dark. And again, it follows the same dynamic. Strong beginning, really awesome second film, and then a dark-ass third entry. In the case of George A. Romero's zombie trilogy, and I understand that Land of the Dead technically counts as part of that, but I'll do a whole separate video on that. The first three, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Day of the Dead, really made a great trilogy. The allegory for the entire thing is really the self-destructive nature of humankind. And nothing really captures that idea quite like Day of the Dead. In Night of the Living Dead, it was just an epidemic, okay? In Dawn of the Dead, it's apparent, like, this shit is spreading. Like, this is like a war for, the survival of humankind. And then in Day of the Dead, it's like, nope. Humankind is virtually gone. There are dwindling survivors, and the lives that they lead are somewhat miserable. There's basically this group of people. It was a military-led operation in this like missile silo that's underground. And there are really only three characters. There's arguably a fourth like side character who's actually pretty chill. But there are three main characters who you really like. There's the Jamaican dude, the Irish dude, and the lady. The only lady in a bunker filled with men, a lot of whom are Das Uber military toxic masculinity. And I will actually say, like, this film was actually quite progressive in a certain way because it really did show toxic masculinity at work. There's this woman who is a very strong lead who is amidst all these men who are just these like testosterone driven, like pissed off. Most of them are quite unlikable, particularly the leader. That guy was a piece of shit. And you can really kind of feel what she's feeling around all of these violent, vile, disgusting human beings. It goes deep into like what makes the zombies work, even like there being a glimmer of humanity still left in the zombies, as is evident by Bub. But this female lead in this movie, she really has a lot on her plate. There's this guy who I always used to hate. I was always like, man, that guy's a piece of shit. He like hits her and stuff. Giving it a rewatch, this dude was mentally broken. This had all gotten to him. He was completely miserable, and she almost acted like his mother. It wasn't like a romantic thing. It was like she was like looking out for him, looking out for his best interest. She's pleading with the captain like, look, he's so stressed out. He's this close to a nervous breakdown. The captain's like, nope, can't spare him. And all the while, this guy with like PTSD and all this shit is getting pissed at her because it's almost sort of like, you're embarrassing me in front of my friends, Mom, but that's basically what it is. All the soldiers are basically like, come on, man, what the hell are you doing? And when she tries to like stick up for him or be like, no, I'll take his place, he's sort of like, no, you won't. Back off, woman. Don't demean me in front of these guys. It was just really, really well thought out. And I don't think that this trilogy should have left you with much hope. Again, the allegory is supposed to be like the self-destruction of humankind by humankind. So in that regard, this film really was the perfect ending. I just don't think that it was as appreciated in its own time as it should have been. If you ever ask me what's my favorite of the trilogy, I would say that depends. If you want entertainment value, like if I'm having friends over and we're gonna have a party, hey, let's watch a fun horror movie, Dawn of the Dead. Hands down, across the board. But if you really want like a piece that like makes you kind of think, an intellectual movie, that, not for nothing, has a really extremely gory ending, Day of the Dead is your movie, man. From a technical standpoint, the best of the trilogy. And that's all she wrote.